Manchester United were ready to drop 65 million on Semenyo and do everything to get that deal over the line, but David Ornstein has confirmed he's chosen Manchester City. So where is that 65 million going to go? In my opinion, it needs to be in midfield. And if we've got 65 million to spend on Semenyo, we've got 65 million to spend on a midfielder. If we can't get Baleba, if we can't get Wharton, if we can't get Anderson, who we can't get apparently in January. I feel like Baleba, there could be a chance, but Wharton and Anderson are not going anywhere in January. I think United should put 65 million on Manu Kone, who we've been looking at. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about my hear me out shout in Bergvall that's not getting minutes at Tottenham. We're going to talk about Semenyo, everything we need to know on Semenyo and him rejecting Manchester United and more. So, hello, and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to your 10-minute Manchester United news, transfer news, and update roundup show, where I'm going to round up all the latest Manchester United news into a 10-minute video for you guys. Let's dive into it. Exclusive, and this was dropped by David Ornstein about 6:30, 7 o'clock tonight, probably about 7 o'clock tonight. Exclusive. Antoine Semenyo's preference is to join Man City in January. Nothing formal until market opens, but Bournemouth attacker favours City. United pushed hard, but never planned to use 25-year-old wing-back, blah, blah, blah. Basically, David Ornstein came out and said both Man United and Man City pushed hard with Semenyo, had calls with Semenyo, as we know, but he's chosen Manchester City. Nothing to do with being a wing-back. Manchester United weren't going to play him as a wing-back. United were willing to change the system for him. He wants to win trophies. And the sad part is, I can't argue that. You could go to Manchester City this season and can win the league, or we can go to Manchester United this season, help us push for maybe 4th or 5th, but we could also finish 15th this season. We don't know how things are going to go. He's got to compete with Doku, Cherki, Foden, and Haaland front four. Probably not getting into that. Marmoush is struggling for minutes. Oscar Bob, Semenyo. You know, I don't think he's guaranteed as many minutes at City, but he's ambitious. I can't really blame him or being mad for him picking City over us. The thing that annoys me is Amorim went for dinner with this guy. We've been working on him for a while. We wanted him in summer. City weren't interested in summer. It's only when he's had this good season that City are interested. So I've had this feeling with Pep leaving at the end of the season, with our interest being more long-term, with him knowing Amorim longer and having more conversations with Amorim and Amorim having dinner with him in the summer, I thought that maybe we could beat Man City to him. Like, I'm not confident we beat Man City to Elliot Anderson. I think Elliot Anderson is going to choose Man City over us in a heartbeat. But I thought with Semenyo, we might have a chance because of Amorim's relationship with him in the summer. He's chosen Man City over us. So, of course, Anderson's going to choose Man City over us. But the worst part for me is, actually, it's not the worst part. I think it's the best part. And I think this is what made me so excited about Semenyo, was we're going to go to a 4-3-3 with him. But Man United were ready to change system if they convinced Semenyo to sign. They literally told Semenyo, we're going to change to a 4-3-3 so you can come in as a left winger. And this is Amorim who said, no, not even the Pope can make me change my system. Semenyo could. Semenyo could do what the Pope couldn't to Ruben Amorim and get him to change his system. Amorim went and took this guy out for dinner. Amorim said, you're the only guy in the world I'm going to change my system for. Yeah? And he went, nah, I'd rather compete with Doku and maybe not get minutes at Man City. I can be salty about it, but he's probably going to win a Premier League title this season at Man City. So it sucks, but it's not a midfielder, so it's not the end of the world. It shows that we have 65 million to spend, and I think there'll probably be some good midfielders available for 65 million. Even though it's not Wharton, Anderson, Baleba, I think there's going to be some good midfielders for 65 million. It's just annoying because I think he would have been really good for us. And I think that Elliot Anderson is going to do the same in the summer, and that worries me. Man United were not willing to break the wage structure and the player opted away from United. Apparently as well, we weren't offering as many wages as Man City. Maybe if we'd done something like we did with Sanchez and offered him ridiculous money, he would have chosen us over City. But look what happened with Sanchez. We got Sanchez to choose us over City. And look at what happened because we gave Sanchez ridiculous wages. So maybe Man United were like, well, we're not going to offer him more because we don't want a Sanchez situation. But we weren't planning to use a wing back. I think that last sentence is very interesting. What Romano said, that we would change system for Semenyo. David Ornstein and Simon Stone both said we weren't going to use a wing back. There's been a lot of talk of Amorim planning to move towards a 4-3-3. There's been a lot of talk about Amorim planning to move towards a 4 at the back formation. Jason Wilcox actually has been putting pressure on Amorim to do this for a while. I think this Semenyo signing was a suggestion of, well, Mbeumo and Ahmad are the only wingers we have. So to go to a 4-3-3 is going to be quite difficult, and we don't have wingers other than Mbeumo and Ahmad. I think Semenyo was the player that was going to maybe allow us to do that. So I don't know, maybe we'll be 5 at the back again for the rest of the season. Maybe that was the guy that was going to change formation. But also, if we go to 4-3-3, we have 3 midfielders, so we definitely would need another midfielder. And look, I agree with this. The Semenyo deal being off isn't much a surprise. I had a feeling we could win it, but I still felt he was going to pick City. He wanted a club that consistently in Europe long term and compete for major trophies. And after hearing that, it was pretty much ruled out to us. That's fine, but there's now no excuses. We must move for a midfielder. INEOS have made it clear the money's there. And I agree. I agree with this tweet. INEOS have made it clear the money is there. INEOS have made it clear 65 million is there, so we must move for a midfielder. We may also move for a winger. We've been linked to Diomande as a potential target, a potential Semenyo alternative, but he's very young, very raw. I'm not going to compare him to Garnacho in the sense of I think he's a different profile of player to Garnacho, but he's young like Garnacho. He has good games, bad games, inconsistent games, whereas Semenyo was Prem proven, ready-made, and I think Semenyo was more of what we needed. Maybe we will be looking at someone like Diomande. Maybe we want a winger more than a midfielder because we want to move to a 4-3-3. Maybe. I think we're only going for Semenyo over a midfielder, not because it was a priority, but because we basically couldn't get the midfielders we wanted in January, but we could get the winger we wanted in January, and I think that's why we went for Semenyo, because we generally wanted him. I don't know if you watched my video earlier today, but Romano came out and said that Ruben Amorim does not want short-term signings. Even if injuries are bad, he only wants long-term signings. He doesn't want stopgap signings, and Semenyo was a long-term signing. And I think that's why we went for him in January, because Neves is a short-term signing, Conor Gallagher is a short-term signing. Is that why we're not moving for midfielders? Because they would be short-term signings? I'm not sure. However, with Bruno's injury, there has been reports that United will move for a midfielder, and I think we've shown that we have 65 million to spend. We can't get Anderson, we can't get Walton, we can't get Baleba. Who's to say we even beat Man City to them in the summer? I feel like there's no point saying we're not going to spend any money in January so we can get Anderson in the summer when we know Anderson's probably going to pick City over us. I think we go for a midfielder in the January window and then try for Anderson again in the summer. My picks are Manu Kone, Locatelli, Agome, Buwadi, Stiller, and João Gomez are all available, I think, if you push hard enough. Like, I don't think Wolves want to sell, but you offer them 40, 50 million, they probably would. You offer these clubs a certain price, and they would probably sell. Now, the one that would be hardest to get, I think, would be Manu Kone, because he is Roma's best player. But Roma wants Zirkzee. We have £65 million. Roma wants Zirkzee. Manu Kone is one of the only midfielders outside the Premier League that I think physically can do what Ruben Amorim wants. He's fantastic. He's Roma's best player. I look at it and say we should go for Manu Kone. He's emerged as a candidate to strengthen the midfield in 2026. We've got 65 million. Roma wants Zirkzee. I say if I'm Manchester United, do what you can. Try something for Manu Kone, because I think he's a very good midfielder that could do good things. I mean, look at these statistics. 99th percentile for forward pass percentage, 87% of progressive carries, 87% of forward passes. But we also know he's an absolute monster off the ball. We also know he can cover monstrous amounts of ground off the ball. We also know he's a fantastic player off the ball. And we know that Ruben Amorim wants athletes. He's that, but he's also much better on the ball than someone like a guy. I just feel like it makes a lot of sense. Manu Kone has been sensational for Roma this season, but nobody's talking about him. 70 touches per game, 6 duels won per game, 65% dribble success rate, 5 recoveries per game. He is one of the best DMs in the world right now. Off the ball, he's doing monstrous things. And I just think right now, I don't know if he wants to leave Roma for us. I don't know if Roma would sell him to us. But I think if we've got 65 million and we're going to get a midfielder outside the Prem, I think Manu Kone is probably one of the best options out there. Of course, you know, Camavinga, Tchouaméni. But I think with them wanting Zirkzee, I think we go for it. I think we try something like that in the hope that it works. I think now we've got 65 million, we've shown that, go for a midfielder. Because even if you can't get the 3 midfielders you want, just go for one. You've got 65 million. You can get a good enough player with 65 million. I'm convinced by that. Anyway, thank you very much for watching today's 10-minute roundup. I'm sure we're going to get some updates on Yandy on Monday now that Semenyo's chosen City. Look, now that Semenyo's chosen City, unless City don't do something or something happens, it's basically done. He will probably go 99% to Man City. Things could happen. You know, you never know. We could get Semenyo, but it's like we've got a 1% chance for Semenyo. Now he's probably going to go City. But yeah, I think we could go for Yandy on Monday, but I think we should go for a midfielder. Let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time. Bye.